Free the land, free the land. Let me share this with my timeline. Free the land, people, free the land. Let me share this with my real timeline. As you come into the live, as we always do, please share this live with your timeline. Let me share this with my real timeline. Free the land, y'all. Good day, people. Good day. As you know, I'm going to just let people come into the live before I start because I want everybody to be on the live when I start speaking. Free the land to all my freedom-loving people. Free the land, free the land. How's everybody doing at the top of this week? Monday, top of the week. Had to hop on here real quick. It's been a minute since my last live. It's a few important things that I want to touch on. A few current events that's going on. And I definitely had to hop on here, especially pertaining to what has taken place in Nigeria over the weekend with a great brother, a great freedom fighter, a great soul was assassinated in Nigeria over the weekend. A great freedom fighting brother by the name of Ikonso, a general of ESN. So please share this live, man. As you know, we're going to send our salutations, commemoration, condemning of this great brother's assassination over the weekend in Nigeria. So, I had to hop in, being that, I represent the provisional government of the Republic of New Africa. I am now currently the Minister of Foreign Affairs. That is something that I haven't really briefed people on about or made an announcement about, but you will be hearing more of an announcement on me taking on the position of Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Provisional Government of the Republic of New Africa. So my whole thing is internationalism and international politics and getting with our brothers and sisters across the world in the African continent and in the African diaspora. But today is something that I really wanted to touch on today is that, it's a lot going on. It's a lot going on in Africa right now, man. And today's topic is about the assassination and the ambush of the freedom fighters in Nigeria and Biafra of the ESN. Also, I'm going to be talking briefly about the Tigray Genocide, something that a lot of people are not talking about, are not making aware of the genocide of these brothers and sisters in Ethiopia in what they call the region of Tigray. It's a horrific genocide going on there. So I'm going to speak on that real quick to bring some light to that because I know a couple of individuals who are of Tigray descent that wanted me to speak on that. So I'm going to touch on that a little bit also, man. Also, the most important of this whole live and video and topic is something that we got to talk about, brothers and sisters, is that, and I see a lot of backlash when I try to make this aware of this organization, this military organization that's on the continent of Africa, which comes from VIA, the United States of America, Africom. I'm going to speak on Africom a little bit because we have to make aware of Africom's existence on the continent and what is their purpose. What is Africom's purpose? We know that this is a fully funded United States military command post that's overseeing the military operations of the United States of America and the United States interests in Africa. With that being said, if you have the most powerfulest world's military in Africa, and they have an organization in Africa, then why do these genocides continue to take place amongst African ethnic groups? If you have the most powerfulest funded military in the world, United States of America, Africom, on the continent, and you have over 30-something bases in Africa, right? Why do these genocides continue to take place in these African regions, in these autonomous African regions, in these autonomous African nations? Why do these genocides continue to take place when you have the most powerfulest military in the world overseeing and in Africa to stop these genocides, but the genocides are getting worse day by day, year by year in Africa? But you have the United States of America present. The most powerfulest funded military in the world is in Africa. But Africans, ethnic groups, oppressed people continue to die in Africa under the United States of America watch. And then I see a lot of colonized Africans who sit back and they try to defend the United States of America by using excuses. Oh, the United States of America is in Africa, man, but we can't really talk down on them, man. They're here to help us. If they are there to help you, then why are you continuing to die in Africa? I need somebody to explain this to me, because I go off the scientific logics of common sense. Common sense tells me if the most powerfulest military and the most powerfulest organization, Africom, which is the most powerfulest organization in the African continent, because it's the United States of America's organization and command center and operations that's overseeing what's going on in Africa based on the interests of the United States of America, right? So I need somebody to common sensely tell me, why do these genocides, massacres continue to take place on the continent when you have the most powerfulest military in the world on your continent, on our motherland's continent? Why do people continue to die? Somebody tell me this. I need to understand that. And us as African people, African blood, right? There's no way nobody that's fighting on the side of the oppressed peoples of Africa, the oppressed peoples of African descent across the world, there should be no people who fall under that bloodline defending colonialist, settler nations. I need to know, why do Africans continue to try to defend something that's not helping you, but are actually facilitating your death, your genocide, your ethnic cleansing? There's a lot of ethnic cleansing going on in Africa right now amongst internally peoples of different ethnic groups, different economic formations of ethnic groups, because I don't like to use the word tribes, nations of ethnic groups who are in internal conflict with each other. But you have the most powerfulest military in the world on the continent watching these ethnic groups kill each other and die. And every time these internal conflicts get to the extreme, the death, the murder, guess what that does? That takes Africa back into a deeply colonized existence. It takes us back to the 1880s of the Berlin Conference, when these European nations first entered Africa and carved up Africa and pushed all these ethnic groups into colonized nations. Because that's what they are. That's what they are. They're colonized nations. Some of you were given independence. Most of you did not take your independence. You were given your independence by Europeans, so Europeans can still have business ties, interest in the resources, in the land, on the continent. That's facts. So some of you were given independence, which is what I keep telling y'all, is emancipation. That's not liberation. Liberation is when you take your freedom, you take your sovereignty. You fight for your sovereignty. You fight for the land. You fight for your nation. You fight for freedom. Total freedom is liberation, not emancipation. Emancipation is something that's given to people by their colonizer, by their historical oppressors. This is facts. This is common sense. This is the science of the struggle, the exact science of the African liberation struggle. And our understanding of it, because you got to understand it. You can't just look at it and think it is what it is when it's not what it is. That's what colonialism does. Colonialism confuses you. It confuses you. That's what colonialism does. It confuses you. So we're going to talk about this Africom. I'm going to get to Africom in a second. But I had to make that opening statement. Is that you have Africom on the continent, which is funded and sponsored and is property of the United States of America, the CIA, on the continent with over 30-something United States military bases on the continent, and Africans continue to die. Africans continue to not have control over their continent, their blood right, their birthright, their motherland, because you have European nations on the continent faking, but are facilitating proxy wars. What did I tell y'all in 2020? What was going to happen in 2021? Many of you follow me. You watch my live. What did I tell y'all in 2020? What was going to happen in Africa, in the Middle East, the so-called Middle East? I told you when the Biden-Harris administration comes into being, everything will return to normal. Everything will return to normal. The pandemic was a distraction. I told you that everything was going to return back to what it was before the pandemic, COVID-19 coronavirus, that these proxy wars are going to flare up at an all-time high in Africa and the so-called Middle East. I told y'all what was going to happen. Look at it all coming into fruition. The Tigray Genocide is one of the most horrific genocides in Africa right now. These brothers and sisters are being exterminated, raped, and being tag teamed by 2 other ethnic nations. Two other ethnic nations are pounding up on one small regional autonomous region in northern Ethiopia, the Tigray region. The Tigray peoples are being genocided, raped, murdered by the Ethiopian government and the Ethiopian military and the Eritrea military. You got 2 former internal so-called enemies. Because if you know anything about the civil war between Ethiopia and Eritrea, then you have to ask in your common sense mind, how is Ethiopia and Eritrea tag teaming a small region in Ethiopia? Why are they bullying up on one small autonomous region? Whose interests are they doing this on the behalf of? If y'all don't know what's going on in Ethiopia, Google it. Google it. If you don't know what's going on, this thing that's going on in Ethiopia is the biggest ethnic cleansing that's going on right now in Africa. Tigray people are dying. Children are dying. Women are being raped. Women are being raped by military of Eritrea and Ethiopian. This is insane right now. Insane. But first, let me get to the current news in Nigeria right now, real quick. Let me get to the current news in the colonizing nation of Nigeria real quick. If you don't know by now, which I know many of you know by now because I've been seeing a lot of y'all post it and a lot of y'all have been sending me messages about it. But over the weekend in Nigeria, Biafran land, real quick, you had a commander-in-chief of the new founded ESN, self-defense unit, because that's what it is. ESN is a self-defense unit of Biafra people in Biafra land. This newly formed, armed self-defense unit, ESN, just lost one of their most highly moraled commanders-in-chiefs over the weekend. A brother by the name of Ikonso and a group of his ESN brothers were ambushed in Biafra land, murdered, killed, bloodied, murdered by Nigerian police, military, and DSS forces. Ambushed these brothers. Assassinated this brother. Because this brother wouldn't compromise his birthright, his allegiance, his loyalty to IPOB, the Indigenous Peoples of Biafran, the independence movement, the restoration movement that's going on in southeastern Nigeria, if you're on another planet. This great brother, Ikonso, was ambushed. And a lot of you should take heed to this because a lot of you should learn from this. What sacrifice looks like. What martyrdom looks like. When somebody truly is loyal to liberation and freedom of his peoples. A lot of y'all need to take notes of this sacrifice of this brother in Biafra land. Ambush, because this brother stood on loyalty, allegiance to the Republic of Biafra, to his nation. And I want to salute this brother in spirit. I want to salute this brother in revolutionary spirit for his sacrifice. I want to say Asante Sana to this brother's sacrifice. And that everybody should hold this brother up in high veneration of ancestors, man. Whether you in Africa, whether you in the diaspora, whether you in the United States, whether you in Europe, if you are a supporter of Biafra's freedom, restoration, y'all should hold this brother's name up in the esteemed realm of ancestors, of brothers who sacrificed their lives for true freedom, not that false freedom. Not that emancipated ass freedom. No, we're talking about freedom fighting for the liberation of peoples. True freedom. We should shout his name high to the realms of Igwe, the sky, and to the earth, Allah. We should hold this brother's name up to the highest veneration and pour water out on this day for this brother. So me, Haki Kweli Shakur, a.k.a. Ike Chukwu, Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of New Africa, want to send our condolences to the IPOB family, to the Biafran family, to the brother Ikonso family, and all those brothers who lost their life over the weekend in an ambush in Nigeria, in Biafran land. And we want to send high ancestral veneration to this brother's revolutionary spirit to continue to walk with all freedom-loving people. To all freedom-loving people. We want to send our condolences, our condemnation of the Nigerian forces, of the Nigerian police forces for murdering, because that's what you did, for murdering one of IPOB's esteemed generals over the weekend. And you should be held accountable. You should be held accountable, Nigeria. The Nigerian army, the Nigerian police, the Nigerian government, you should be held accountable for murdering this innocent brother in cold blood over the weekend. As we all know, this brother is not dead. If you believe in the indigenous beliefs of African people, this brother is now an ancestor. So he's still amongst us. He still will fight for us. Because now he's in the most powerfulest position and the most highest esteemed levels of spiritual liberation and spiritual traditions. He's an ancestor now. So he's fighting revolution from the ancestral side with all freedom-loving people. So we're going to pour out some water. That's what we're going to do to the earth, to Allah. We're going to pour out some water for Ikonso today. Because us brothers and sisters here in the United States of America, specifically me, we see what's going on. I see what's going on. And you know I stand with you, brothers and sisters. So yes, we're condemning the Nigerian government because it's all about accountability. This is something people don't tend to get. You can fear the big bad bully all you want. You can fear the big bad bullies all you want. But if you're a real freedom fighter, a real lover of freedom, you don't fear holding individuals accountable for murder. You don't fear holding governments accountable for murder of innocent citizens of ethnic nations or African nations or African people. You got to hold them accountable. I don't care if they look like you. They can have black skin, but they're really white people. Period. That's right. I said it. They can be black, but they're really white people. Because that's who they're working for. That's who the Nigerian government is working for. White people. A lot of you don't like that, but that's our reality. That's what it is. No sugarcoat. Because we already know who controls the global community. We know who controls the global community. I'm pretty sure y'all have a great idea who controls the global community. It's not African people. It's not African people. So yeah, let's pour this libation out for the brother Ikonso of ESN that lost his life and the other brothers that lost their life over the weekend in South East Nigeria, man. So on this day, in the name of our supreme creator, supreme being, Chukwu Abiyama, I pour this libation out in the memory of this great revolutionary brother who lost his life this weekend in the sacrifice for all African people, in sacrifice for all African liberation on the African continent, in the African diaspora. We call his name today. We hold his name up amongst the venerated ancestors of freedom fighters today. May this brother's spirit live forever. May this brother's transition was a peaceful transition. Because the work is not over for this brother. Because he now has transitioned to the ancestral realm. So we hope and pray that his transition was a peaceful transition to be amongst the ancestors, to continue this fight, to liberate Biafra, to liberate Africa, to liberate the African diaspora. So I pour this libation in the name of all our holy spirits, all our holy deities, from sky, Igwe, to earth, Allah. We shall return, because that's where we're going to return to. We're going to return to Igwe sky, Allah earth, in the spiritual realm. So in this great spirit of this brother, Moi, Ikonso, I pour this libation in the name. Let's get some Essays all up and down this time now. Essay for this brother Ikonso, who lost his life, great freedom fighter of the ESN and IPOP peoples. I pour this libation in your memory today. Essay. 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 And I pour this libation out for all the innocent brothers that was with this brother Ikonso when he got ambushed by the Nigerian military government over the weekend. We pour this libation in memory of those brothers who lost their life over the weekend as well. Essay. 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 In the spirit of our creator and supreme being, Chukwu Abiyama, may these brothers live forever. May their revolutionary spirits live forever, and may they continue to walk with us all over the planet. If you are of Biafran blood, Igbo blood, may these brothers continue to walk with us in all our struggles, no matter where we are. You know what I'm saying? Again, this is from me, E.K. Chukwu, Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of New Africa, the black nation struggling for independence here in America. We send our condolences and we condemn the Nigerian government for the brutal murder of this innocent brother, this innocent freedom fighter and his brothers who died over the weekend in an ambush in Nigeria. May they live forever. Issei. He say, and this moves me on. This moves me right on into the next topic. Africom. And I'm going to speak briefly on Africom and why Biafrans, you need to pay attention to Africom. Because a lot of y'all think Africom is there to help y'all. But we're going to clear that up right now. And we're going to use the great brother that was assassinated over the weekend as an example. As an example. Because who is accountable for the blood spill of this brother and the other brothers that was ambushed by the Nigerian police, the Nigerian government, over the weekend? Who's accountable for this brother's murder? Because it ain't just the neo-colonialist Negro, the black Negro, Muhammad Buhari, and all the black faces of the federal government of Nigeria. It's not just their accountability. It's a deeper accountability. It's a deeper accountability for this brother's blood spill over the weekend. And this is why you have to study Africom. Write it down. Africom. A-F-R-I-C-O-M. Africom. Write it down. Google them and study them and try to figure out why are they in Africa? Why are they there? The United States Africom. Why are you there? Why are you in Africa and Africans are dying? Why are you there? What's your purpose? So from what I see, you are invested and you have interest in the death of black bodies. That is their interest. This is why Africom is in Africa. You're in Africa because you are invested in black genocide, black death, and murder of African ethnic groups on the continent. This is facts. They are invested in death. They are making money in death. Death is the highest profitable industry in the world. Did you know that? Did you know that? Black death is the most profitable industry in the world. Facts. Black bodies have the highest value in the world. We have slavery. We have slavery as the evidence to contest that. Because anytime a human being sells black bodies or sold black bodies, the way they sold our African ancestors, right, into slavery on the continent and in the diaspora, right? That means these black bodies have value. They have value to evil. They have value to conquerors. They have value to empires, European nations. Facts. Facts. Black bodies have value to European nations and European economies and European wealth. So our deaths are an investment. Are you listening to me today? Our deaths are an investment in European capitalist wealth. Facts. Facts. Black bodies are an investment in the investment of European wealth. Facts. Facts. So when this brother Ikonso was assassinated and these brothers was assassinated in Biafran land, who is to be held accountable? Who has the interest? Who has the value of these black bodies that were murdered? It wasn't just the federal government of Nigeria. Guess who it was? It was the United States of America and Britain. How about that? The United States and Britain has to be held accountable for this brother's death and every black body death on the African continent at this moment. And the African diaspora. Because we can't leave the African diaspora out neither. Because brothers and sisters are being genocided in the African diaspora at the same rate as brothers and sisters are being murdered on the continent. By the same oppressors. Guess what? We all have the same thing in common. We're all being murdered, genocided, our bodies at high value for white economic wealth all over the globe. All over the globe. Every time a black body drops, it's more money into the historical enemies, economies, banks, and facilitation of control over black lives. This is why a lot of people say, why do black lives matter? No, do African lives matter? Do African lives matter? Cut the color out. Do African lives matter? Evidently, they don't. When you have the most powerfulest organization and country with its militaries all over Africa, and black people continue to die. Africom. You have to understand what Africom is, brothers and sisters. Africom and the United Nations, NATO. Let's say that again. Africom, the United Nations, NATO are no good to African liberation. That's right. Africom, the United Nations, NATO are no good to African liberation. They have done nothing for African people. Let's get that clear. Show me evidence where Africom, NATO, the United Nations have done anything for African people that's being murdered in Africa or the African diaspora. Show me. Show me. So Biafran brothers and sisters, African brothers and sisters, why do we make excuses for them? Why do we protect them? Why do we continue to defend people who have done nothing to stop your murder and genocide? Why do you defend them? Why do we take up for them? Why do we look at them as some kind of saviors? Why do we look at them as saviors when they have not stopped your brother from dying? They have not stopped your sister from dying. They have not stopped your father from dying. They haven't stopped your mother from dying. They haven't stopped your grandparents from dying. They haven't stopped your ancestors from dying. Why do you take up for them? When you know they are in your country, your continent, just to take your resources, just to take your land, not to stop or save your lives. They haven't saved one life. They haven't destroyed Boko Haram yet. They haven't destroyed the extremists yet. They haven't destroyed the jihadists yet. But you telling me you have an organization. You have an organization. You have a military organization called Africom on the continent. This is the United States military people, the most powerfulest military in the world on your continent, Africom. But they haven't stopped one killing of an African body yet. Why is that? Why is that? Why is that? And it clearly states right here. This is what Africom is about. This states clearly we can find the truth in their mission. It says our mission of the U.S. Africom, United States Africom Command. We partners, counters, transitional threats, and malign actors, strengthen security forces in response to crisis in order to advance U.S. national interests and promote regional security, stability, and prosperity. Did you just hear what I said, what Africom is about? Let me say that one more time. The truth is in the words. You can always find the truth in the words. Listen closely. What is the mission of the United States Africom in Africa? It states clearly, the United States Africa's command with partners, counters transitional threats and malign actors, strengthens security forces and threats and malign actors, and responds to crisis in order to advance U.S. national interests and promotes regional security, stability, and prosperity. So with that being said, in their mission, in their statement on why Africom, United States Africom is in Africa, they are there to respond to crisis in order to advance U.S. national interests and to promote regional security, stability, and prosperity. We haven't seen none of those things transpire in Africa over the last decade. Over the last decade, where have any of these things came into fruition? Where have any of these things actually are taking place in Africa? Where is the United States of America doing this at? Because I don't see it. You don't see it. You don't see it. You just heard me read the mission statements of U.S. Africom and why they are in Africa. They say they are there in the interest of the United States interests. That's all you need to know. They are not there for African interests. They are only there for the United States interests, meaning black bodies can drop every day in Africa. Black bodies can die every day in Africa. That's not the United States interest. That's not the United States military interest. Y'all got to understand this. If you understand this, then you will understand why you keep dying. This is facts. This is why Britain is there. This is why France is there. The three-headed colonizers, the United States of America, Britain, and France. This is why they are in Africa. They are there for their own interests in what they can get out of the motherland, which is resources, materials, not the black bodies. They are not there for the black bodies. They are not there for the Africans. They are not there to save your life. They're not there to stop you from dying. We all need to get that in our minds and heads. Because Nigeria, Cameroon, Ethiopia right now, as I slide into the next topic, in Ethiopia right now, the Sudan right now, Libya, come on, brothers and sisters. Libya is the prime example of what they are in Africa for. Look what happened to Libya. Libya is a destroyed, failed, conquered state. Libya is in the most catastrophic existence right now. Libya is a destroyed, failed, conquered state. They assassinated Gaddafi and destroyed Libya's whole economic structure, whole political structure, tore it down under Obama and Hillary Clinton and the United States government and NATO. If they done that to Libya, right? If they would do that to Libya, they did that to Iraq. They did that to Afghanistan, right? And these are the same individuals who are supporting the Nigerian government. From the looks of it, somebody is getting interest out of what's going on in Ethiopia right now with the Tigray Genocide. Who's benefiting off the Tigray people's genocide in northern Ethiopia right now? When you got over 30-something military bases in Africa. Somebody explain that to me. I need somebody to explain that to me, man. I need somebody to explain it to me. Our historical oppressors will always be behind the scenes facilitating our genocides, facilitating our deaths. Now, don't get me wrong. We do have to hold accountable the black Negroes, the black dictator. But the black dictator is nothing but a creation of our historical oppressors, our historical enemies. Those European nations who went into Africa and carved out every aspect of the African continent and created these false African nationalities, these false African nations with borders. Our historical enemies did that. with the help of black Negroes, black dictators, neo-colonialists. Frantz Fanon stated so eloquently, the black skin, white mask. Yes, we do got to hold these Negroes like Muhammad Buhari accountable, yes. But who created Muhammad Buhari? And who still sits there on the continent and watch you die? The United States, France, Britain. Facts. And moving on into the final topic of this live, man. Brothers and sisters. Brothers and sisters, I need all y'all to do me a favor. I need you to research the Tigray Genocide. Over the last month, the last 2 months, but over the last 3 weeks, brothers and sisters. Let me start off by saying this. The Tigray peoples are Ethiopian peoples, right? This is something you got to understand about the Ethiopian whole political, geopolitical, you know what I'm saying, existence. Is that in Ethiopia, and a lot of us look at Ethiopia as a place that was so-called never conquered by colonialism. When Mussolini of Italy tried to conquer Ethiopia. A lot of us look at Ethiopia as a religious Mecca. If you're Jewish, Hebrew, which a lot of Biafrans, a lot of Igbo people, you consider yourself Hebrews, you consider yourself Jews, and things of that nature. Well, you need to really focus on this because Ethiopia is considered the homeland of Hebrews, the homeland of the Israelites. But they call themselves Hebrews, right? Ethiopia was supposed to be like how a lot of people look at the United States of America as this great democracy. Because we felt like Ethiopia was the country that was never defeated by colonialism. None of the European nations could invade Ethiopia and conquer Ethiopia. Mussolini tried. I do believe the Germans tried, but they failed. They failed. They couldn't conquer Ethiopia. They conquered Eritrea, the neighbor of Ethiopia, which is in the Horn of Africa with Somalia. The Horn of Africa, one of the most ancient areas in Africa, one of the most sacred areas in Africa is the Horn of Africa. You got Ethiopia, Eritrea, Somalia. Well, we're speaking on Ethiopia right now. In the northern region of Ethiopia, you have a region. Well, let me explain it to you like this. This is what happened. Because Ethiopia has so many ethnic groups just like Nigeria. Nigeria got over 300 ethnic tribes and ethnic groups of people. Ethiopia has just as many ethnic tribes and ethnic groups in Ethiopia. Ethiopia is a large mass region and country. A decades back, they had the same issue as Nigeria having now, to where you grouped up they had this, where all these groups were grouped up together. All these ethnic groups was grouped up together in Ethiopia, just like Nigeria. So a lot of us who are African nationalists or revolutionary nationalists or nationalist people who believe in, nationalism, we looked at what Ethiopia did a couple of decades ago. We thought this was genius. We thought this was the solution. A lot of nations in Africa are trying to find the solution to, how can ethnic groups or ethnic tribes coexist or exist. Where we all know scientifically as revolutionary nationalists, the only solution is separation. It's taking these areas or taking these ethnic groups and giving them the land back to those people so they can live amongst their own people, because they shouldn't have never been bunched up together in the first place. Because we all know that took place by European conquerors, European nations who came in and they already had this plan facilitated. Like I said, at the Berlin Conference, 1884, they knew if they grouped it. This is one of the most scientific strategies of European nations to keep a people conquered is using them against each other. That's colonialism. Imperialism, when they take people and use people against each other to maintain their dominance, their control. This is what Rome did for decades in ancient times. This is what Rome did for centuries in ancient times. This is why Rome was the greatest empire at one time, because they're doing the same thing that these European nations are doing today when they take other groups that they don't like, other races that they don't like, and they take them and use them against each other by bunching them into in regions together. It's basically international gentrification. The same thing that's taking place in America, gentrification, where they take groups and bunch groups together in one part of a region. So we thought Ethiopia had the cure, the solution, because Ethiopia took 10 regions. Ethiopia got 10 regions that they split up and turned them into autonomous regions, states inside the continent of, inside the country of Ethiopia. 10 autonomous regions, which they thought would be the solution to the problem of Ethiopian peoples and Ethiopian ethnic groups, disagreements and conflicts, by taking these groups and giving them their own autonomous regions. But we all know that it came into fruition and it worked to a certain degree, but it wasn't the final solution, because now you have ethnic groups in these autonomous regions who are still fighting for autonomous independence for their own ethnic group still. Even though they split these autonomous regions into 10 autonomous regions. Region states. So in the Tigray region, which is in the northern highest part of Ethiopia, you have a genocide that's being displayed right now. Right now. People are being displaced, ran out into the Sudan borders of Tigray, trying to escape the extermination of the Ethiopian military and the Eritrea military, who are now in who are now in the Tigray region, murdering, killing, and raping Tigray peoples and Tigray ethnic groups, because there are ethnic groups inside Tigray who are being exterminated right now in front of the world's eye right now, dying from starvation, dying from the lack of humanitarian aid. These people are getting no humanitarian aid. No humanitarian aid. They're dying from hunger. They're dying from medical neglect. They're dying from thirst because they don't have the proper water. And I just witnessed on live video, these brothers and sisters are running across the border, running across the seas, trying to cross into the Sudan border. They are now officially refugee camps all over the border of Sudan and Ethiopia. These brothers and sisters and children and babies have been displaced. All because they can't take the proper procedure to end a conflict. Because they can't end a conflict under proper procedures. Proper human right procedures, man. And it's like the world is ignoring it. Biafrans, you got to feel it, because you feel like the world is ignoring the Biafran genocide. Well, these brothers and sisters are feeling the same way. Nobody is speaking on behalf of the Tigray people right now. And the Tigray people are being genocided. And these could be your Hebrew brothers and sisters. Biafrans, brothers and sisters. Or whoever identifies with being Hebrews or things of that nature. It's not even about religion, but I just want you brothers and sisters to please investigate, observe, And do your research on the Tigray Genocide right now, please. Please. And use our voices, use your voices to bring attention to the Tigray Genocide by using a hashtag, the Tigray Genocide. Because I hate to see any part of our humanity suffer because of nations who are hell-bent on greed. They must control. They got to control things. Why you got to control everything? And the thing about this whole situation, I'm really upset with the Eritrean government. Because it's like, what does the Eritrean government and the Eritrean peoples and their Eritrean government, what do y'all have to do with what's going on in Ethiopia, in Tigray, on some other people's, oppressed people's genocide? What do you have to do with that? When you yourself went to war with Ethiopia for your self-determination, for your right to exist. So why does Eritrea why you're in Tigray murdering, killing, and raping people? It makes no sense. That's evil. That's evil. That's evil. And this whole situation started like all situations start when it comes to, these conflicts with these nations and the ethnic groups in Africa. It all started over the political process and the geopolitical politics, economic politics, and the right to vote. Because you had the Tigray People's Liberation Front, who's in an internal conflict with the Tigray Ethiopian government. That's the government of Tigray. They are in an internal conflict with the Tigray People's Liberation Front, who've been there since the 1960s and the 1970s, fighting for the liberation of their peoples. I'm not going to get too much into that because there's some things I kind of disagree with the Tigray People's Liberation Front as well. They have contradictions and things of that nature that has to be pointed out and has to be held accountable for as well. Because they also have caused a lot of internal conflict that's not justified. But they've been there. They've been there from the beginning in Tigray, fighting for the Tigray People's Liberation Front. The world or the European nations or the European powers would like to label these type of people terrorists. But before you do that, I suggest you do your research on the Tigray People's Liberation Front before you judge them. Because a lot of you will rush to judge them based off of Europeans and European nations saying what they are. No, do your own research on your own African brothers and sisters, whether they're doing bad or good. Do your own research. Do your own research. Because we got to understand the oppressed people's struggle and why, these things happen amongst oppressed peoples, oppressed ethnic groups, oppressed nations, or oppressed tribes, if you like to use that terminology. But yes, in this genocide, a lot of people have been murdered. A lot of Tigray people have been murdered. I can't even recall the numbers, but the numbers are horrific of how many people have died in the Tigray region over the past decade. But more recently, the last 3 weeks in Tigray. The Tigray people have the right to self-determination. They have the right to nationhood. They have the right to decide their own political destiny and things of that nature, man. They have the right to human rights. So we must stand up and voice and be a voice as African people and support the Tigray people's right to self-determination, to right to stop the genocide, to right to stop the killing, the right to exist. So I'm speaking to my Tigray people if you see this live. We stand in solidarity with your genocide. We stand in solidarity with your survival, your self-preservation as human beings, and your right to exist as people. And we're calling out the Ethiopian and the Eritrea governments to please stop the killing of the Tigray people. Stop the genocide of the Tigray people. Get the Tigray people humanitarian aid. Please, the United Nations, Ethiopian government, Eritrea government, please stop the genocide on Tigray people and get these people humanitarian aid. And let these people decide their political destiny, their political self-determination. Please. Stop intervening in people's political processes because you want to control things. You want to dictate things. That's what dictator governments do. And that's not what human rights is about. That's not what the human world community should be about, because too many people have died behind other groups and other people's trying to control other people's self-determination and political power. So please do your research on the Tigray Genocide, people, man. Please. It's much deeper than that. I can't go into it all right now because it would take probably over 3 hours to break down the whole Tigray Genocide, the whole Ethiopian, Eritrea thing when it comes to these people's genocide in Tigray, man. But I just want you to please do your own research on the Tigray Genocide, because these people need a global community support and global community voices, man. Whenever we see our people in genocide and horrific conditions of hunger, humanitarian aid, we need to speak. We need to come together and speak for those peoples, man. So I would just want to say, we're with you, Tigray people. We support y'all. We stand in solidarity. Free Tigray. Free the Tigray peoples. And the Ethiopian government and the Eritrea government, please stop the killing. Please stop your genocide on the Tigray people, man. It's inhumane. These people have human rights through international law. Please stop the killing. And on that note, man, I'm going to sign out, man. Shout out to everybody who tapped in. I tried to keep this live short, but I know it's probably long. Shout out to Biafra. Shout out to the Tigray peoples. Shout out to all freedom-loving people. Shout out to the Republic of New Africa. Shout out to all the freedom fighters. And yes, please keep that brother, Ikonso, spirit alive and well, and chant his name amongst the ancestral realm and the ancestors, man. And never forget, man, this fight is to free Africa. Because if Africa is not free, there's no way no African people of African descent across the globe will ever be free, man. So Africa for African people, free Africa. Africa, you got to tighten up. Because your freedom and your independence affects all Africans across the world. We need Africa, man. We need our motherland, man. I'm going to sign off on that note. On that note. Haki Kweli Shakur, man. A.K.A. Ikechukwu. Free the land. By any means necessary. Yohuru Asasa.